Get that little Wayne intro. And that, my friends, is how you start episode 100. 100 deep, 100 cards in a row, haven't missed a single one. It's not easy to do. You know, we make a lot of sacrifices, and we both have jobs, both have, I got a wife, dogs, a lot of responsibilities, and we carve out time each and every week. A, because we love doing it and we have a lot of fun, but B, because we want to see this channel grow and we want to give it the energy and effort it deserves. And you can reward that effort by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Beefy Boys Breakdown. It would mean the world to us. It's right over on YouTube. Search Beefy Boys Breakdown. Hit that subscribe button. Like a couple of videos. It's a 100th anniversary of Beefy Boys Breakdown. It's my second wedding anniversary today, and I'm still doing an episode. That's the kind of dedication we put into this show. So just please support us any way you can, and the easiest way is over on YouTube. Here's my partner, Harrison, now.
And we're back.
We are back, man. Episode 100. We're going over UFC Fight Night, Cruz versus Vera. This is a main event we've been looking forward to for a couple weeks, man. In a main card, too. I'll be real. Not the biggest names on this main card. Like, most of the main card, honestly, looks like a prelim. But we got some great performances and won some money. And the main event was really fire.
Yes, sir. And we got a Fight of the Year contender here coming up.
So, a lot on it. A fun main card, a fun fight night. Prelims were awesome. Main card, you could debate's even better. And, yeah, man, episode 100, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
But, yeah, bro, so starting off the fight, man, we had my lock of the week, Bruno Silva, minus 280. Fighting GM3, Gerald Mearshart, plus 235. Fighting in the middleweight division. And man, I got to say, though, me liking Bruno Silva so much in this fight, I don't know if I'll go as far as to say casual take, but, like, definitely kind of knee-jerk, definitely kind of a perception more than reality. We think of Mearshart, we think of the Hamzat loss and how just, like, but you got to think before that, and I think since that, that's the only fight out of his last, like, 4 or 5 that he's lost, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he's lost one other one in there, right? Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, Krzysztof Jotko. But he's beaten Fabinski, Muradov, Stoltzfus since the Hamzat fight,
It was so bad that, like, we just thought Mearshart is done, and, like, I don't know. I guess I can't speak for everybody else. In my own brain, it just, like, when I saw what Hamzat did to him, I'm like, all right, well, I'm out on this guy. Like, you know what I mean? But, no, we saw what Hamzat has gone on to be able to accomplish. And, probably you could argue one of the best guys in the division, So, but at 70, though, it's weird. But regardless, Hamzat's a beast. And I think that was more the exception than the rule, right? Like, I don't think that in my head, it's hard to get out of my head. Whenever I think of Mearshart, I just think of him getting folded by Hamzat, and it's like it's hard to separate those two things from, like, a perception standpoint, at least for me.
Yeah, well, Mearshart's been finished a few times, but he has this, like, salty record of as far as, like, who he's lost to. They're salty dudes for the most part, right? So it's hard for me to hold it against Mearshart, but I do.
That's what I'm talking about, perception versus reality when it comes to Mearshart. Like, if you do a little digging, you look a little deeper, you peel back the onion, and you're not that down on Mearshart. But just, like, knee-jerk reaction, we're having a couple beers, and I'm like, what do you think of Mearshart? Like, it's just hard not to think of just him getting...
It's like, I got to sleep still from Hamzat?
Exactly. And, like,
you're talking
maybe
about?
That's fair, maybe it's not. Probably not, but that's what I don't know. That's what my brain does with the name Gerald Mearshart. Like I said, for better or for worse.
Me too. It's like James Krause. Like, it's just a bad memory that comes up when I think about it.
Was just in there with, the middleweight title challenger and gave him a tough fight. And MMA Matt tells you that this minus 280 money line makes all the goddamn sense in the world.
And that Bruno Silva must have a crazy chin for Pereira to not be able to crack it like that.
Also true. So I think this was like a weird perception versus reality kind of fight. Let's get into it, man, because I mean, God damn it, maybe the best Mears charts looked in the Beefy Boys era. Like, actually, I'll probably say
I agree.
confident.
I agree 100%. Like, I would say that. I'd put my name on that. Yeah, because like honestly, man, Meerschaert comes out and it's kind of a snoozy first. Yeah. I mean, it is the start of it for sure, but he gets that takedown. Kind of is snoozy in the ground and pound for the first minute of being on top, and then really starts to get his posture and start to do some actual ground and pound damage, which I was surprised by.
I'm glad he postures up, so we didn't have to listen to Bisping describe how posturing up allows you to get better damage off, because he's a fucking broken record when it comes to that. But I mean, in all fairness, prime example of why he's always, and he's always talking about it during snoozy fights. So I mean, I feel you, Bisping, but goddamn, if I have to hear it one more time. But
right, like you're beating this horse, just so dead.
Flies off the dead horse. But anyway, so yeah, Meerschaert wins round one. You're right, not the most entertaining, but he did turn it up towards the end. Now round two is what I mean. Who the fuck is that guy that was in Meerschaert's body in round two? I mean, we got this guy out here throwing head kicks.
Throwing head kicks. Moving around super well, baiting Silva into essentially biting on fakes, and then getting off center line and dodging Silva's counter strikes.
I mean, landed to the head, landed to the body, landed to the legs, mixing it up all three levels. Footwork on the outside. Like, if we were playing some kind of board game where I have to try to describe the fighter, and I just didn't describe Meerschaert, right?
Like there'd be no way. Like, how could that be Gerald Meerschaert? Especially from, I guess, not how he's been fighting even. You know what I mean? Like, he might have been winning, but he hasn't been doing it in such a way.
He's fighting essentially a striker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he outstruck the striker as the perceived grappler. I don't know, bro. Like, I really enjoyed watching round two because, like I said, as a guy who hasn't been putting that much respect on GM3, It was dope to see him fucking essentially shut me and people thinking like me up. Yeah, no, I was like,
and me,
I'll bust out my spoon. I mean, I love to see it, to be honest. And it looks fucking fantastic. And like I said, I'm not a hater. Like, I'll give credit where credit's due. Like, that shit, I mean, that was cool. I didn't know he had that in him.
Well, it's like Silva needed to go for it at certain points, like get into a brawl. Because if you can bait GM3 into a brawl,
exactly,
typically it's better for you from what we can see.
GM3 somewhat suspect chin. Like, the recipe to Bruno Silva, you're right, to mix it up, make it ugly. I think Bruno Silva was scared to get that close to him. I think that's what it was.
Right. Because he got dominated for the last 2 minutes of round one when he did get close. So it kind of fucked him up for the way he approached round two.
Like, it's honestly a pretty fair game plan to, like, not want to get super close to that guy. But that was all, like, it was counterintuitive, right? Because I think that was Bruno Silva's path to victory. Yeah, and then
well, and then pushing to round three. I mean, we talked about how GM3 is a perceived grappler, and yes, he does get a submission, but it's entirely set up by the big left hand that he sits Silva down with.
Like a TKO asterisk, because he submitted a dead body.
Yeah.
No, but in all fairness, Silva did resist that.
It was ridiculous.
Pretty good towards the end, but then he got that, like, second cinch on it, and it was.
Yeah, whenever he got the hand up, like, on the back of his head, essentially, it was like his elbow was wrapped around his throat.
That I've seen in a minute. Like, honestly, it, like, looked like off, like it did, because you know what I'm saying, like, it, like, looked weird.
Like, I thought he lost it. I thought it was so cranked. I thought he lost it.
On that was just like, we don't see that. Like, it was nuts. And I mean, but like I said, how does he get there? Oh, does he take it? No, he knocks him down. What was it? It was just a right hand.
Maybe a minute. Was it a right that Meerschaert landed?
Massive.
No, it was a left. It was a massive left.
Dropped him. I mean, could have easily pounded him out. I mean, on the post-fight show, Joe Ben and
that's what I was surprised about.
Laughing like only Meerschaert would jump Gilly right there on, like, a lifeless corpse. But then
Of
they were
course.
talking about, I think that broke the submission record. I don't know if it's middleweight submission record or it's not, or moved him up to like fourth all time, but
I think middleweight.
across the UFC. But
Yeah.
so they were saying, like, was he stat padding right there? Was he like a quarterback that was like down late, still or up late, still passing the ball? Like, was that? Do you consider that stat padding, or is that just his instinct?
You know what?
Yeah,
I think instinct for him, but it is stat padding still.
that was a knockout.
I think what's so weird about this fight, man, and essentially, yeah. But like my biggest takeaway from this fight is that I still don't care when Meerschaert fights next. That was still a pretty boring, like a very good performance, but still, I mean, until round 3, kind of
This is in
boring.
retrospect because I take these notes live. I don't have the word snooze in my notes, okay.
I have
Fair
Susie,
enough.
but for the
It
first
wasn't
round.
a barn burner, especially coming on the heels of Godinez Hill. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I get what you're saying. Not the most relevant guy at the moment. I do like his call out though. So he called out Andre Petrosky, tough 29. I think second place.
Good call out for him.
Second place finalist, and like by default he wasn't supposed to be there. Whatever. Really, technically third place guy, bronze medal guy. But hey, and like I don't know. I'm not the biggest.
He's a bronze medal type guy.
But that's kind of why I like the call out because I think it would, even though it shouldn't, it would give Meerschaert some juice within the company. You know what I'm saying? I think the company likes Petrosky. They want to see him do well. I don't understand why. I don't get it, but they like the guy. Whatever. He trains at the right gym or whatever. Has the right cosigns. I think it has a lot to do with it. But he trains with Sean Brady and the boys up in Philly, right? So it's like they're trying to build that. Yeah, Felder. So.
Felder.
He definitely has the right guys vouching for him, So, but what I'm getting at here is I like the call out because Petrosky does nothing but try to wrestle the whole fight. And, I mean, obviously, Meerschaert, that will eat him up on the ground, I think. And then also, what did we just learn? I mean, Petrosky's hands were already pretty suspect, and he was fighting lower-level tough guys, and he couldn't outbox them. But what we just saw from Striker Meerschaert, this is like an unlockable character, Striker Meerschaert. But seriously,
Striker Meerschaert, rare skin.
Like I said, and then Petrosky, if he just tries to shoot doubles the whole fight like he usually does, he's getting gillied for sure. I don't know. I like the call out. I like the fact that he had a call out, like just regard. And then I like who the call out was. And you're right. If it wasn't for the call out, I'd be with you about not caring about his next fight. And that's why more fighters should do call outs because it got me caring about it. Especially if it gets the fight that he wants.
Good point. That's actually a great point. I mean, I do care about that fight, because he called him out specifically. Honestly, that's a great take on it, right? Like a call out helps you in multiple ways, and that is very clearly one of those ways, right?
On your next fight, 100%.
Especially whenever it's a call out that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, do you think that someone argued he's even like aiming low and it was like, but I would disagree with that. I think GM3 needs to stack some wins. I think Petrosky is a somewhat decent name because of the Ultimate Fighter and the Dana White likes him for whatever reason. So I don't know. I don't hate the call out, but I don't know. I don't.
Dana and the boys love Petrosky. I don't get the love for Petrosky.
Fight style. I mean, not the greatest personality in my opinion. I don't know if you fucking Dan Bilzerian wannabe and without the money and fucking and
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel you, but I hope GM3 subs him or knocks him out, man. I'm here for it, but we can keep it pushing because we got Ariane Lipsky minus 200 fighting Priscilla Cachoeira plus 170 fighting that bantamweight. I think was originally booked at flyweight. Yeah,
second leg of
the dog parlay.
Correct. Yeah, so second leg of the dog parlay.
Puffing the chest all the way out because I called it.
You called this one. I was suspect on this and just chose to ride it with you because I believed.
I didn't just pick it. I bet it last week. The fight got pulled, and so it ended up getting scratched from my parlay that ends up bricking anyway. But I did bet it last week. I tried to bet this fight last week, and so this is what blows my mind, bro. And this is why. So I like Cachoeira to beat Lipsky. Lipsky just hasn't looked good as of late. She looks great against kids and people that can't grapple, and she fucking over-torques her submissions and gets, like, a good reputation off it. But, I mean, obviously the levels up in competition. I mean, she doesn't take strikes real well. She's not very
She
well
struggles.
rounded. And Cachueta's a what? A dog. And yeah,
A zombie in there too, man. Like she has a crazy
I didn't
chin
even
with a
think that
wild, powerful right
Lipsky
hand.
be able to test the chin just because I don't like Lipsky's striking. And then and I know and I don't like Lipsky's chin, and I know Cachueta's throwing bombs. So I mean that was kind of like the X's and O's of why I was so high on Cachueta. But then you're gonna throw me a bone. So this fight got scrapped last week. You said, "Oh, how do you fight a better fight 2 weeks in a row?" Because it got pulled last week. It got pulled not because of Cachueta, because Lipsky couldn't make 25. So she had to botch the weight cut. Then move it up a weight class, which I think favors Cachueta, quite frankly, even though she's the one that made weight. And you mean to tell me the girl that botched the weight and is I think like 1-2 in her last 3? I honestly don't get what Vegas is thinking here. Like I really don't. I mean, I guess they're thinking that she catches her in a sub because Cachueta is so reckless, but I don't. I can't even like lawyer ball devil's advocate an argument for Lipsky being minus 200, bro. Like I could say I'm a genius for picking the plus 170 2 weeks in a row, but I thought it was like obvious. But you felt differently as a guy who wasn't so bullish. What were you seeing out of Lipsky that favored well against Cachueta? I mean, just the grappling, or
Not even that. It's just that Cachoeira likes to get in wars, and when you get in wars, you have a much higher chance of losing than to just fight a smart, well-rounded fight and just to avoid grappling and keep it on the feet. So I kind of thought Lipsky would press her on the fence, hit her with elbows, and then Cachoeira would try to
I
go
think
reckless with
Lipsky's
it and
the
get caught.
perfect opponent to go reckless against. That's why,
Well,
I know, like I'm
look how the
sorry,
fight plays out.
over here gloating, just fucking. I eat so much shit on my picks that I just have to just take my little victory lap here. But my apologies.
This guy's out here high horse about Cachoeira.
Yeah, no, man. But so yeah, man.
I mean, honestly, not a lot to break down here because they take 30 seconds to kind of feel it out, and then start throwing heat. And Lipsky does not want the smoke of that right hand. The left hand hurt her at first.
Sat her down,
the right hand sat her down.
Seriously, man. I mean, I felt so vindicated because, like, in my mind's eye, that's how I saw this fight going. Like Lipsky, just catching a big bomb because like she's not super like her striking is just. I guess I just don't respect Lipsky's striking is what I'm getting at, and I feel.
It's not the best unless she's in a clinch. She's a good clinch striker, not a good standing striker.
I think Cachoeira's ability to land that shot and Lipsky's ability to not take the shot when it does inevitably land.
Yeah, Lipsky not going
like
for her chin. That is a very good point.
Like she's kind of a front runner. Like when things are going well,
True.
She's gonna rip a ligament, and whenever things aren't going well, she's gonna find a way out of there. And I just didn't see Cachoeira just, I think Cachoeira was going to make her like face adversity, and I just didn't like how Lipsky was going to react to that adversity. But yeah, so that cash is the double dog 2-legger parlay, man. Shout out to Cachoeira. They said I loved that one for 2 weeks in a row. Putting Nina Nunes on top of it which I felt like that was another steal, man. Like I guess I'm just super down on Calvillo, but ended up smelling like roses because there were a lot of question marks about Nunes, but I just think that's how down on Calvillo I was. I'm like, oh, what? Like no way she should be this big of a favorite. She's been kind of ass. So and
that 2-legger earned you plus 750 odds. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome. 7.5 times your money.
Value on like what I said, what I thought were some off money lines, and I don't know, dog like plus 100 ish. In the 100s, 2-leg dog parlays is some value.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think anytime you're a plus 100 or like if you're not plus 2 something, Vegas clearly thinks you have a path and a way to win the fight.
100%, man. But I guess we can keep it pushing for my high horse show over here. My little the dancing horses, the Mexican horses. That's me over here. Yeah.
Come back in the frame, bro. You're way up. You're too up high on that horse.
But
no. So This is the fight where I'm saying there is a late stoppage on this card. It is this fight.
No,
I don't even think it's debatable.
It was brutal.
But let's dive into it, man. I mean, we have the light heavyweight fighters. Azamat Mirzakhanov, minus 145, fighting Devin Clark, who used to be ranked in light heavyweight,
he's
at plus 125. Yeah, against like Santos or Johnny
like
Walker
right.
or someone like that.
Mirzakhanov undefeated coming into this one. And this was a dope matchmaking because Mirzakhanov, undefeated. I mean, I don't think we recognize any of the guys he fought. I mean, he's fought a bunch of local guys. He got a lot of those wins on the regional scene. I mean, so he hasn't really been tested. I think it's fair to say. And then Clark, perfect test guy, right? Former main eventer, former ranked guy, stud athlete, but clearly daubered down and working his way down the card. So, I mean, I thought this was good matchmaking, perfect kind of way up, way down matchup.
Absolutely. Stylistically, it's a fun fight, too, because they're both kind of strong guys that have good grappling, but also are much more prone to throw the hands 100%. Big. And, I mean, neither guy has a bad chin from what I was able to see as well, or what I had seen of either guy leading up to it, I should say.
Clark's chin is bad from, like, a physiology, like a physical, like, actual, like, getting hit, like, and reacting with it or getting knocked out. It's a mental thing to me. Like, his body language when he gets hit, he's just like, oh, I don't like that at all, which, of course, you don't like it. But, like, as a fighter, kind of your job to act like it doesn't bother you, right? Like, isn't that kind of part of it? Like, I mean, isn't that, like, part – that kind of factors into my definition of chin is, I guess, what I'm getting at. Like, your ability to eat shots, right? And part of eating shots is, like, the mental eating it and, like – not shying away from it and not being scared of it and not turning away from it and I don't know, just kind of like embracing it almost, right? Like that's how Shane Burgos won Chin of the Year first time giving it out. Like the crazy son bitch almost likes getting hit in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, right. Like he's like, yeah. He literally like gets more lively when he gets cracked.
The mental part of the chin is what, not the physical part of the chin, but the mental part of the chin, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, we notice it in round one, right? Like he starts, like they're both trading. Mirzakhanov is definitely getting the better of the trades and hits Clark with a shot that doesn't seem to be all that powerful, but Clark reacts badly to the shots that I didn't think were like, good night shots. He just reacted so poorly. The man would turn his back, like reset the entire position within the cage. Now, credit to Mirzakhanov because he let that pressure off.
Was honestly pretty badass. I mean, because Mirzakhanov hurt Clark like 3 times with that same left hand. Like every time he would touch him with it, there would be a big reaction. Like, and like I said, it wouldn't be a physical reaction.
Right. That's
what I'm getting at. Generally speaking, it wouldn't be like he sat him in a chair or flash KO. Like,
yeah, it'd be like he would turn around and completely reset the position where it was like, oh, you really didn't like that strike. It was like a visual
more
thing.
So than it was like a rock thing, right? You know what I'm saying? It was weird.
Yeah,
but regardless,
100%.
I kind of score it the same way, which is whack because like if you're Clark and you just like kind of play it off better, maybe that's a dominant round for Clark. Because I actually end up still giving the round to Clark. I thought the 2 head kicks, the second of which almost ended the fight. Like Mirzakhanov was actually hurt, like physically, like almost out.
Hurt, but also immediately got the dominant position and control against the cage.
Right. And I could easily be talked off of this one. I'm not real bullish on it. I did give round 1 to Clark. Very close. The head kicks.
See, I thought Bisping was influencing that a lot. Because Bisping wouldn't shut the fuck up about the head kick at the end when the entire rest of the round was really Mirzakhanov.
You're right. But I do think a head kick is kind of like an asterisk, right? Like it's almost like a flying knee or like you can definitely steal around with the head kick. Like if you almost finish the fight with the head kick, like
if you don't eat 3 huge shots leading up to it.
That's what we were getting into.
And maybe they're not huge, but he made them look huge. That's on him. That's on him.
That's why I said I could probably be talked off of this one because I'm like picking up what you're putting down. I'm like not really disputing that at all. But like I said,
I did put close round. I did
What we're
put really
talking about
close
is
round.
3 left hands versus 2 head kicks, like a 3-to-2 ratio. I think our debate perfectly represents. There are going to be plenty of fight fans who like, oh, give me the 3 left hands from the strong power puncher, or there's going to be plenty of fight hands who be like, hey, shit, I'd rather eat 3 lefts than 2 head kicks. So I mean, I think we're
For sure. I just swear, like, Murzakanov wore the shots
right.
so much better, too.
That second one.
Like, I think Clark probably hit him harder both times, but well, that's my thing, is he almost falls flat on his face and still manages to get Devin Clark in the losing position.
That's a valid point. I thought it was a very close kind of subjective round. How was it scored? I mean,
super close round.
It doesn't end up mattering.
So all judges had it to Murzakanov.
Fair play. Yeah.
I'm surprised by that. I really thought one of those judges would give the head kick the credit.
And
especially with it being near the end of the round.
Him down with forward pressure the majority of the round.
The pressure and octagon control was definitely there for Murzakanov the whole round.
Price, but I think I'm gonna buy it. But all right, we can keep it pushing to round 2 because I mean, round 2. I'm really excited to see how we're getting super lost in the weeds with the scorecards. We do have a finish here, but I do think the way this fight played out was interesting, and I don't think we can necessarily fast forward to just the finish.
Well, I feel like round 2, Devin Clark starts getting rocked, and the shots are actually hurting him. Like his physical reactions were poor in the first round; they were worse in the second because he got sat down at the end of the second.
That we were like debating whether or not how bad they hurt him in round 1. In round 2, there was no debate. I mean, he was getting sparked. I mean, round 2
like badly.
That's what I'm getting at. Is I can't wait to see how you scored it. Did you 10-8 it?
So I did, yeah. So Clark quit using his kicks really in round 2. I don't feel like he put up much of any fight and got dropped huge. Like I definitely had 10-8. I had 2017. Although I did right, I could see it being 19-19 or 19-18.
This fight is definitely open to interpretation on the scorecard for sure.
Or hell, I even guess 20-18 because that's what all 3 judges have it after round 2. No 10-8s from the judges there.
That's tough.
Yeah. If you're gonna tell me Murzakanov won the first round, a 10-9, then he damn sure has a 10-8 win in the second round.
I mean, right? I mean,
like I just think logically that makes sense.
Twice as damaging. Like I don't know. Yeah, like.
Yeah, right. Like the damage level was way higher. It was just the same round.
Coming back at him, which is the
only
thing that made round 1 close at all. I feel you. I don't see how you don't 10-8 that. I would be interested to check the verdict. Round 3. Oh, go ahead.
Now, Murzakanov showed. I was just going to say his ability to shift to the body shots in round 3. I was savvy, and I really liked that fight IQ because he started throwing a lot of mean body shots that were connecting big time. The left body kick was every time.
Man, especially Clark, the taller guy, bigger target there on the body. I honestly think, though, in all fairness, he probably could have just done whatever he wanted because a couple more shots to the head and Clark's out. I think Clark was getting out of there soon.
Yeah, I agree.
High water, you know what I'm saying? We even going, getting out of there like probably was going to find a way out of there. It could have been a rear naked choke. It could have been. And I'm not saying
he kind of had that. He kind of had that dead man walking look to him in the third round.
He was shying away from the damage, and I mean, and then in round 2 he got hurt a lot worse, a lot more. Man, Devin Clark, and that's been his problem. This isn't just like a knee-jerk reaction. And his other fights on his downward skin, you've seen. I hate using this, but people say it about Charles Oliveira. So if it can be said about Charles Oliveira, it can damn sure be said about Devin Clark. He's got a little quit in him. Like, maybe more than a little. Like, compared to your average UFC
For sure.
fighter. Like,
For sure.
I don't even think it's that unfair to say. Like,
he's a dude that, like, they talked about how he's had a quote where he's like, I want to deadlift 1,000 pounds. It's like, all right, man, but are you a fighter or a weightlifter? Like, I see this happen with fighters sometimes where they get obsessed. Yeah, or it's like, who's the
William Knight.
It's not Tefon and Chukwi, it's William Knight. That is exactly who I was thinking of. Just go be a weightlifter
or a personal trainer.
Because it's honestly hurting. because it's hurting their fighting because they're fighting in a weight they don't need to be at because they're too muscled down.
Really tall too, or pretty damn tall, I think, for the.
I think Clark is more so at the right weight than William Knight, but I'm just saying to have that mentality of like, I just want to be the biggest guy in the gym. Like that doesn't really matter for fighting.
I just don't know if he's like built for fighting, like mentally. I mean, I don't know his upbringing. Like I get the feeling it may not have been the toughest. Like he's in there fighting savages. Like I think he views it as a sport more so than like a fight or like a, which it is a sport, but we hear that talked about all the time. Like the guys that are like martial artists versus the guys that are like cage fighters and dogs. You know what I'm saying? And like.
Yeah. And then the guys that are just chasing, PRs and deadlifts and squat.
Influencer fighter. That's like another lane. Yeah, man, I feel you. I just don't see that like fighter's edge. Like honestly, we're saying a lot of the same things that we said about Calvillo, right? I mean,
yeah, and honestly, another person that would be akin to Devin Clark is like a Sage Northcutt kind of a guy, like a guy that's extremely physically fit. It can go the distance in any given fight and isn't necessarily awful, just not really the cut of cloth to be a UFC fighter.
Because, I mean, it's not baseball, man. Like, you need more than a skill set. Like, you need more, it's some...
You need mental toughness like a monster.
And an aggression, right? Like, you got to be kind of a rough guy or girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't...
Yeah.
There are exceptions to that rule. Like, there are... But, I mean... For the most part, I mean, you got to be a pretty rough son of a bitch. You look at the current champs. I mean, Volkanovski, rough guy, rugby player. Oliveira, grew up in the favelas. Adesanya maybe starts to be the exception to that rule, but I think Adesanya probably had it pretty tough when he was younger. Now, growing up, he's moved into a different place in his life, but I think he has some stories.
And 80 kickboxing fights. You get hardened over 80 fights.
I mean, every weight class.
Usman, very tough. I mean, we've seen him get his mental is strong.
You can get that toughness in a wrestling room. You can get that toughness on the streets of Brazil. You can get that toughness playing rugby. But none of those things we said are like, really like silver spoon, like type of like.
I might honestly argue the weakest champion mentally is Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah, you're right.
It's Aljo or is he? It's one of those two.
Probably fair to say.
Because Moreno's a dog.
Gann's problem. Like I don't know how much. Like that's what limits him.
Ngannou's a dog. His story of even getting
tied to Avasa. Dog.
Yuri's a dog.
I mean, Glover. I mean, all those
Glover's
guys.
A dog.
Man, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know Devin Clark's background, but I just don't get that from him.
That is kind of the I guess the separating point, right? Is like Anthony Smith, not necessarily a dog like that. You know what I mean? Not on the level of the other guys we're talking about. I'd say the same about Dominic Reyes. Yeah. Not necessarily a dog anymore. Thiago Santos, not necessarily a dog anymore. But those top-end guys, dog. I agree with that. Like, you can see the hunger in some of those younger guys. And Glover still has that hunger, and I don't think he'll ever lose it just because he's just mentally trained himself to be that as such.
Great win for Mazakinov. Keeps the undefeated streak alive. Big win. I mean, working his way up the card. What, 3-4 fights from the end on the main card? I mean, working his way up the card, undefeated, beat a former main eventer, former ranked guy. I mean, he's knocking on the door of top 15. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Yeah,
no, 100%, man. And I think we can keep it pushing because I do love the next fight.
Two badass
Yasmins, two Yasmins, one with a Y, one with an I, and no J's anywhere to be found.
Oh, yeah.
Well, except in the last name.
I'm gonna let you introduce this one. I'm gonna trail the shit out of this one, all on the whole breakdown. So just get ready, folks.
So you have Yasmin Jauregui at -195, fighting at strawweight. Sorry, I should probably say that. Got Jason Herzog in there, so I was happy. I'm always happy when I see Herzog. Love him as a ref. Against Yasmin Lucindo, Which
Yeah,
was he plus 160? I missed
pretty
writing
much,
it down.
depending on where you bet it. I'm sure some people got it plus 160, but yeah, both fighters making their debut. Both fighters with interesting stories. Yaragwe, I'm gonna butcher that the whole because I can't even use the first name because they're both Yasmin. So, Yaragwe, fucking undefeated, 8-0, and then Lucindo, 20 years old. Apparently, he's been taking pro fights in Brazil since she was like 14. Guys, like a gnarly background. Like she took like self-defense classes because her dad would get drunk and beat up the whole family. I mean, started fighting at 14. What did we just talk about in our last conversation? Like, dog. Being
a dog.
Background. Like, you don't just become a dog because you want to be. Like, you got to overcome some shit, right? Like, and it's made slowly over time. But yeah, both of these ladies, absolute badasses. Another prime example of, I think these ladies are who like they wanted Braulio to be. They remember Braulio made his debut in like a co-main, on the main card fighting like guys we don't know. And we're like, why is this guy getting this push? And we don't like Braulio really. We don't think he's really deserving of the push. And but these ladies, I think they took this because their third fight from the top in their debut. Nobody really knows who they are for the most part, and.
Well, Urigi gets this crazy push from Mexico, being like, they say like the next woman up to be a Mexican fighter.
Moreno's gym in Tijuana, yeah, right. And there was in San Diego, so a couple miles.
And they're in San Diego, right? Yeah, so literally the same town essentially, just a border separates them.
Lake Tahoe, California, and Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Like pretty much is like.
Yeah, like you're at the same place. You're just across a different
pretty
border.
much a hometown fight for Uruguay. And then, Lucindo, absolute dog, youngest fighter in the UFC, debut on debut, and these ladies go to war from the fucking jump. I mean,
dude, they got after it, and Lucindo has a power.
That was kind of the style, right? Like Lucindo, very Muay Thai looking type fighter. I mean, chin and power, right? Over defense. Like we'll eat one to give one. Eat two to give one, but hers is going to do more damage. Uruguay, definitely more polished, better kicks, better probably distance management, probably better footwork, maybe even a little better cardio, more refined, right? But Lucindo just had that dog factor, that power, and the chin that just made for fucking, Diet Coke and Mentos. It just came together and fucking exploded.
With the exception of the third round, most of the strike numbers in these rounds are incredibly close, right?
None of the rounds on eye test told me it was close, and then they would put the numbers on the screen.
Oh, I'm glad you say that because I thought it was relatively easy to score, maybe with the exception of round one.
I think round
I would say round one, but I think I know who won round one.
But I feel confident in my pick. But I don't know. Let's get to it, man. I'll go first. I gave round one to Lucindo, man. The damage. Pretty much, especially in round one, not so much in the later rounds, but it kind of boiled down to like Lucindo landed bombs to the head, but in my eye test having the lower strike volume, but like quality over quantity. And then Lucindo seemed to have good volume, good output, good activity, but it was a lot of leg kicks, not really doing a lot of damage. When she would land a good strike, Lucindo would eat it like a G. And then Lucindo would land some bombs. I felt pretty good about giving it to Lucindo. How do you see it?
I also gave it to Lucindo. I thought that it is, I believe, the one round that she won the strike numbers. But like I said, very close. Like round two is 37-34 in strike numbers. So essentially the same numbers, right? So like I thought, just was doing more damage and was fighting her fight. Like she was getting Uruguay to go into her sort of ballpark, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like Uruguay need to keep distance, separate, technically strike.
Not to do that with the leg kicks and stuff, but you're right. Lucindo was kind of just forcing her style of fight. You're right. Like even against Uruguay, like trying not to, still ended up that way.
Right. And so I thought giving round one to Lucindo was almost obvious. There is one judge that scores it for Uruguay, which I guess if you value leg kicks and you're putting, you think, you see him landing, or maybe just the position that Ron McCarthy is the judge that gave it to Uragui. Maybe from where he's sitting, some of those strikes he
That's a
can't
real
see as
thing.
cleanly.
That's
Like
a
maybe
real
there's
thing.
hooks or something that are landing.
That don't know,
It is for sure.
There's like the judges form like a triangle, which is cool because they get different perspectives, right? But exactly what you just said, like there could be one judge who's like unable to get a good angle on a really impactful strike or a clash of heads that he may think is a strike, or you know what I'm saying? It's both. It both solves problems and creates new ones all at once. Like as opposed to like if all three judges were like sitting next to each other, that would solve that problem but create other problems. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too with that, right?
Well, and it does. It's super helpful in like the Mauro Bueno Silva situation where like only one judge could see that tap, and then if they all sit together, or even if someone's not sitting right where he was sitting, then we don't see it, and we can't get that confirmation. All right, so
we saw round one the same way. One judge disagreed with us. In all fairness, I'm not mad at that. Now, round two, I like Uragui, much more efficient. And I know that's a weird word to use to give somebody a round, but like the accuracy, like it seemed like whenever she would throw, it would touch something. Now,
felt like she was striking a lot cleaner, and she cracked Lucindo like 2 or 3 times in the second round, where I think lesser women go down to that shot.
Also, like whiffing a lot more in round two, like trying to probably knockout hunting a little bit, right? Which every fighter will tell you, like if you what's the saying? If you look for the knockout, you'll lose a decision. Like I think that's like that kind of old saying that
exactly right
in the fight community. So I think there's a lot of truth to that, and you gotta let the knockouts come to you. You know what I mean? Or find them in the natural rhythm of the fight. You can't try to force it. Now, caveat being at the end of round two, Lucindo that big blitz, which was just like super effective and like landed multiple bombs and such an exclamation point on the round. Uragui ate him great. Not enough, in my opinion, to steal the round, but I could see, did any judge give round two to Lucindo? Because I could see a judge, I mean, you know what I mean? If Blackshear was able to steal the round,
I almost could too, but
back for a couple seconds, then I mean that late blitz I thought was more impactful for that. I mean, I know that's apples to oranges, but did all three judges give that one to Uragui?
Yeah. Surprisingly so, though. I mean, if you had the first round as a split 2-1 between the judges, you would think that some judge might lean back to Lucindo in this round. Now, with all that being said, I'm even more surprised they all scored round 3 the same way as well.
See, I thought round 3 was the hardest to score.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I thought round 3 could have gone either way. So for all the judges to see the exact same surprised me. So I thought Uragui won. I once again, I thought that she was landing cleaner strikes, and also the damage accumulation was starting to show on Lucindo a lot more than on Uragui. So, like, from just a visual perspective, it looked like she was kind of starting to get beaten up. But, I mean, granted, the strike numbers were still close.
See, I lean Lucindo, but it's a very kind of nuanced, like, thing, and I even kind of argue against my own pick. Like, I thought Lucindo was landing harder and cleaner. Uragui's was more of like accumulation type damage, but so it's hard to even say like who's winning that damage, right? Like I thought Lucindo like landed the harder, bigger shots, which typically gives you the damage, but the damage like was piling up from the accumulation on the end of Uragui. Really tough there, and I did think Uragui was like throwing first, like leading the engagements, but what would lead to her getting countered?
Yeah, absolutely. With big shots. But she ate big shots well, too. You know, I've been complimenting Lucindo's chin this whole time. Both these girls have very good
This is a fight, like this could end up being the example we always use, like the McGregor-Holloway fight on the prelims, like the nobody really...
Or the Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman the first time they fought.
End up being, like, down the road, both of these ladies could be top 10. Probably will be top 10. Like.
Yeah. I think they both have a very, very good skill set. I think they both can technically strike. I think Lucindo has the power advantage, and I think Uragui has the, I guess, perceived fight IQ advantage because she just fights a smarter fight usually.
Yeah, more refined. I just think that's the way to put it. More refined. Like
more refined. That's the right word.
But, I mean, Lucindo, debatably more of a dog, definitely has more power, debatably better chin. probably a little less well-rounded, a little less refined, but also 20 years old. So, yeah, I mean, both these girls, bright futures, I think. So this ends up being a unanimous decision. I would have bet my left nut we were on the way to a split. One
Me too. When I heard 30-27,
yeah,
I was blown away.
also, I mean, kind of makes, yeah.
I can see the argument
There's
for
a
it.
path to a 30-27.
It's just tough to not give Lucinda a round anywhere in that fight.
Then two judges saw it how you saw it. I'm out here, alone with my giving it to Lucinda, but I mean, I'm not bullish. I'm not sticking out my chest. I'm not dying on the hill. If anything, my argument for Lucinda is kind of a lawyer ball argument. You know what I mean? Like, I fully concede that. But I also think, I thought it was going to be a split decision. I thought at least somebody would have saw how I saw it.
I thought, honestly, at the point at which this fight ended, I kind of felt like this might have taken over for fight of the night.
I would have bet my left nut. Yet again, I would have been nutless. Because I would have bet it that this was going to be fight of the night. Like, it was amazing. It was an all-out war. I mean, it was entertaining. It was high pace, high action. But what we get next is the fight of the night. And rightfully
for sure.
So,
for
so
sure.
Entertaining. Another one that didn't necessarily go how people saw it going. I know I didn't. Go ahead and introduce these next fighters.
Yeah, man. So we got him at featherweight. We have David Onama, who is the minus 340 favorite, fighting against Nate, the Train Landwehr, plus 280. And man, so this fight started exactly how I thought it would, which is David Onama just cracking Landwehr, kind of leading the action, doing whatever he wants to. But the round ends with Landwehr actually showing a crazy amount of resilience and recovery from the 4-minute ass whooping he had just taken. He starts fighting back, starts hurting Onama. I honestly could have been talked into a 10-8 for Onama until that last minute of the first round.
I was confidently chest out on the way to a 10-8.
Like, he was just tagging him, man. Like, the crispiness of his movement, the left hook was landing every time, and then the right sits Landwehr down.
Darren Elkins' nephew or something.
I wrote Darren Elkins' name in my notes as a reminder.
He reminds me so much of Darren Elkins, it's insane. Like, it's just, he's really the second coming of Darren Elkins. And also, another guy, I talked about perception versus reality earlier with Mears chart. Same thing with Nathan Train, man. He's like 16-4 coming into this one. That's a really good record. Like, I don't think we think of him as a 16-4 fighter. Like, I didn't. Like,
I never do. And shout out to the UFC for giving him the co-main here and trying to get Onama on as well by giving him the co-main. I think this is a really well-placed fight as far as card placement goes.
I think, like, Onama, such an athlete, such a dangerous guy. Round one, looked amazing. Also, just make some questionable decisions in there. The decision-making.
Super questionable decision-making. And then also you got to ask yourself, when someo's that explosive, does he gas himself out?
Angela Hill's brain and David Onama's body, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so good.
He'd be so good.
I
also think he got overly confident in this fight.
I think I'm not going to try to read too much into this. I think he reached the point in a fight where fighters have to make a decision, like, do I empty the gas tank for a finish, or do I not and just maintain the position and win the round and probably get a 10-8? And he's a younger fighter, and even and he was so close to getting the finish. I think anybody that's not Darren Elkins or Nate Landwehr is done. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was insane.
If I recall correctly, Kenneth was calling for a stoppage. He was saying, like, stop the fight, stop the fight.
I was 100% yelling at my TV. Now, definitely for biased reasons and being a scumbag, but still, I was doing it.
Yeah, well, it's not out of the question, though, is the point. You know what I mean? Like, when you start thinking, like, could this be stopped? Clearly, the fight is very close to being finished. Now, all that being said, like I said, Landwehr ended that round really strong for himself. Still lost the round. I still had 10-9 Onama. But then you start to see the tide turning, right? To where you're like, Oh, Nama might be gassed, and Landwehr's just started.
It was like I as soon as
And
Landwehr
then
was on top, landing those elbows at the end of two, and Onama showed just like nothing from his back at all, like white belt from the back, even like an MMA get back to your feet and scramble white belt. Like there was just nothing coming back at all. It was just,
well, round two, man. I mean, that's textbook 10-8. Like, I think that's what you put on video and show people, like, this is a 10-8. Like, he is just ragdolling Onama around the octagon. Onama could barely even stand up when he's getting hit. It was amazing he didn't get dropped more times than he did in that round. It was just a vicious 10-8. I couldn't believe Onama made it to the end of the round.
Yeah, copy, paste, ditto, all that. Like, 100%. Like, I mean...
And Leonard was winning every position, bro. Like, out striking him on the feet, out grappling him, taking him down when he wanted him down, ground and pounding him.
I mean,
he didn't lose a position in the second round.
Box after box being checked. I mean, different positions, takedowns, significant strikes, damage, transitions, scrambles, pressure, cardio. I mean, any way you can beat a man, Nate Landwehr did it in round two.
Yeah. Well, and then, I will say, I thought Onama was finished, right? Like, I didn't think there was any way he could go 5 more minutes. Just on fatigue and ass beating.
And credit to James Krause. James Krause did more than 90% of these corners do. No, hear me out. Most of these corners,
you're right.
If anything, talk their fighters out of quitting or would literally would never throw in the towel even when they should. Krause was about as close to you can get as throwing in the towel. He let his athlete continue, but he let him know, hey, do you even want to keep doing this? If this gets worse,
if I keep seeing it, if I keep seeing this more of this round, I'm gonna have to stop it. I think he outright told him.
Krause a hard time on this show, but from that perspective, for looking out for his athlete,
that was the right move.
Still didn't throw in the towel, which ends up he kind of gets proven right. Onama comes out and does some amazing things in round 3, but I thought it was refreshing, and he wasn't saying "Are you quitting on me, son?" He was on some real shit, caring about his athlete, I don't know, I'm thinking about throwing it in. You know what I mean? Which I thought was refreshing.
Yeah. So tell me how you scored round 3.
I scored 10-9 Landwehr. But only because Landwehr was kind of being an idiot. Now,
yeah, what the fuck was his deal? Turning around and trying to hype the crowd, bro, when you drop him and he's hurt and he's tired and he's looking for a way out, quit trying to be a dick about it. You're just going to inspire him to keep fighting you.
I'm going to talk out of both sides of my neck here. The guy pounding seltzers and Howlerhead fucking loved it, but the MMA fan / podcaster, if you want to be liberal with the term analyst, I was like, what the fuck are we doing here? This is ridiculous. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I don't know. I just had my left and right side of the brain. One side was having fun, being a child, being a fucking casual, being a caveman with a beer, and being the guy ordering the 10-piece of boneless at Buffalo Wild Wings. I had that little I was eating that shit up. And then I also had the guy who takes the sport seriously and likes the integrity of the sport and it not being a fucking clown show. I hated it. So I don't know, man. I gave it 10-9 Landwehr. So what we're getting to, Landwehr would be well on his way to a 10-8, beating Onama within an inch of his life, having Onama, on quitter's doorstep, and then just let him up and then go to the crowd and pump him up and do some WWE shit.
Oh, it was ridiculous. It was great showmanship and made for the fight to be more entertaining, but also it didn't need.
I think that
without the bonus.
Him doing that, it's not competitive enough. I think the last fight or Angela Hillgate's fight of the night. So Landwehr, you could argue his dumbass shit earned him both $50,000.
Might be true. Like I said, I still scored round 3 for Landwehr, and here's where he almost fucked himself, is that he almost missed his win bonus because he ends up getting the majority decision, 229-27, which is what we both have
so on the first,
for him.
just real quick, diving in real quick into round 3. Landwehr, he did the turnaround WWE bullshit 3 times. The first 2 times he got away with it. The third time
Onama was up in his face, checking him, telling him, "Don't be doing that bullshit. I'm right here."
Second wind and
the last minute of the round, Onama definitely won.
Never happened. It should have been another 10-8. This should have been like a Khabib scorecard. Well, I guess losing the first round, but I mean,
but Landwehr played with his food too much.
I mean, could have gotten a finish. Could have gotten a second 10-8 round. Would have probably still got his $50,000 if he gets 2 10-8s. You know what I'm saying? Or the finish. Like, he pretty much gives Onama $50,000 by fucking around, which I guess, it was weird.
That's what I mean.
Like I said, part of me thought it was really weird. Part of me didn't love it, and then like part of me was like, "Fuck yeah, let me get 10 please."
That fat voice is tremendous. But I mean, you're right. And as great of a fight as it was, it didn't have to be that great. Landwehr kind of gave it the opportunity to be great, and Onama did step up to the plate and deliver in the third round when he had all the opportunities to quit on earth.
Which, like I said,
he decided not to.
Makes me like Onama. No, I got to be real. I'm a little bit daubered down on Onama, but I think it's more of a course correction. Like, I think I was too high on him. I think I was shoveling too much coal.
Me too. I think I was riding that. I think I was riding that train real heavy.
Too much. Like, seriously, like I was a little bit too high on Onama after the because we got high on him because of the Mason Jones performance, which he did lose in, but it was up a weight class. Because remember, we were also a little bit too high on Mason Jones, so led us to be too high on Onama. We're not the only ones. Vegas was high on him. UFC's high on him, put him in a co-main. So I feel comfortable saying that, like, we're obviously not out. We weren't alone. But I think the perception versus reality seems to be the theme of this episode. All right, we thought a little bit too highly of Onama and a little bit too lowly of Landwehr. Like I said, when I thought of Landwehr, I may have actually been confusing him with Darren Elkins. Like I not face wise, but I'm saying like perception wise, like. He's just one of these guys. He's tough. He's wild. Whatever. He's 17-4 now. I mean, if he had a fucking neck beard that was from Dagestan, we'd be calling him the next best thing. You know what I'm saying? 17-4.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
No, I agree with you. 17-4 and beat out David Onama, who we were pretty high on. Like I said, like obviously a little bit of course correction there, but. I mean, Landwehr, I think I got to throw some respect on his name and start to keep an eye out on.
We should have already been there. Like, I'll admit I'm late to the party. I mean,
right.
Like I said, it's not 12-4. It's not 13-4. 17-4. Like I said, I mean, if this guy was fighting out of city kickboxing or trading with Khabib, I mean, everybody would be drooling. He comes from a small camp.
You're not wrong at all, man. That has to have a lot to do with it. It has to. But, I mean, they did give him the credit of the co-main. And, I mean, all that considered, gets the extra $50,000, does get his win bonus.
One judge scored a draw. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
The judge who gave round 3 to Onama, that's I see what you're doing there, but no, don't do it.
No, he did not win the round. Yeah, that was my whole point. Onama didn't win that round.
Gave black shit. It was just like, I only score the last fucking 45 seconds of rounds. Like I'm fucking, Snapchat. I'm Herb Dean doing videos and fucking.
Yeah, Michael Bell scored rounds 1 and 2 to Blackshear and gave it 10-8 in round 3.
Onama?
So he scored.
Like he's literally only scoring the last 30 seconds of rounds.
And he's also scoring draws. That's the second draw he scored.
That's not a coincidence. Like, you're fucking up, dog. You're fucking up. Like, nobody's agreeing with you.
Yeah. Like, hey, Michael Bell, do a little better, though.
At all. Like, once, maybe benefited it out, twice, fuck all the way off. Yeah, man. Love me some Nate Landwehr. Cut a great promo afterwards. Like, some people were calling it cringy. I guess I like a little bit of cringe. Like, I'm down to work a little bit. Get on the mic and then your first comment.
He was kind of yelling too loud into the mic and kind of fucking up how it came across because he was so loud and they had the speakers turned up in the arena loud enough where, like, it was reverbing on the mic at certain points where it was hard to understand what he was saying. And I was like, All right, bro, I get it. You're hype. Like, you should be.
I feel
Let's
it.
not yell so close to the mic.
A little further away next time. It was his first come-in. He'll get that dialed in.
Yeah.
He'll get it dialed in. Probably, he's used to them LFA mics or whatever the fuck he's fighting in Tennessee. But, I don't know, man. Nate Landwehr, I think he made a lot of fans. Onama, man, he has some work to do. I mean, like I said, potential will get you fired. I mean, potential's getting in these hard fights. He's accepting them on short notice. There's a lot to like there. He seems to be made of the right stuff. Definitely has to work on that cardio and just, the fight IQ. I mean, I think he's made of the right stuff, though. Like the third round showed us. Like, he's a dog. I mean, he's dangerous as all fuck. The first round showed us that. I mean, he still showed us a lot. He performed, well. I mean, he's durable, right? Took a fucking ass beating. I think he still showed a lot, but also needs to show a lot more, at the same time. But we can keep it pushing.
Fully agree. But yeah, I mean, this is the fight that we're all waiting for, right? The fight that could be the third fight on a pay-per-view card. And unfortunately for Dominick Cruz is the main event, which makes it 5 rounds. Yeah. Now, why is it unfortunate? We'll get into. But
also, Cruz known as being a good 5-round fight. It's like a kind of like a retrospect hindsight.
True. Yeah. It was meant to be a gift to him. Oh. Yeah, no, I just mean in hindsight, like if it was 3 rounds, it's a lot better ending. So, I mean, he's number 8, Dominick Cruz, at plus 185, fighting Marlon Chito Vera, who's number 5 in the division, minus 215. And as far as how I saw it, we had a straight bet on Cruz. I was riding Cruz. Yeah, it moved a lot.
And it got bet all the way to plus 185. That means we weren't the only people coming in on Cruz. That value is good.
And sharp money was on Cruz. The value was great. And also, man, if you think about Chito's fight against Frank Yeager, he really wasn't winning the fight until he finished Frank Yeager.
I mean, Chito's dangerous. I mean, like I said, this fight looked – I mean, this fight was awesome because it showed what each guy does well, right? Like, each guy had moments in the fight to, showcase their skills, their fight style, their pros, and their cons, right? I don't know. I thought this fight was dope because it was the opposite of fluky. And what I mean by that is each guy – got a chance to do what they do best, and we got to see which guy's best was better than the other guy's best. I don't know if that makes sense.
I just think Cruz's chin is so weird, man. He'll get tagged with shots that you shouldn't hurt him the way that he gets flash KO'd, but then his recovery rate is insane. He's able to recover so Chito quick when he gets tagged.
But also, Chito, all right, we'll get into more of that. Let's go round by round real quick. And then we'll get into kind of X's and O's because the X's and O's kind of give away, the ending. So fight at bantamweight, obviously, and we're in bantamweight season. So this fight we got 8 versus 5, and Cruz is an elevated 8, right? Former champ. He definitely has a quick pathway to the top if he gets a win here. Then we got Aldo and Davishvili, I think, next week. And then we got O'Malley versus Young
that's right.
in a month or whatever. So
and Aljo Dillashaw.
All the top bantamweights are competing in the next 60 days, something like that.
Essentially, yeah. We have a 60-day run of who's going to be the best bantamweight and who gets this next shot. Sandhagen's about the only guy that's not doing anything, and I could see him fighting Fabrant.
Sonya Dong soon, isn't he?
That's right. They gave Sonya, so 10 versus 4. You're right. So the only guys that are not booked are Fabrant and Munoz. And Munoz obviously just came off the most bullshit, number one bullshit guy performance.
His last fight was getting destroyed by Chito, right? I mean, so and that was
that's correct. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not mad at him taking some time off. No, but 100%. So as we always jokingly call ourselves the bantamweight breakdown, I mean, we're over here, bricked up.
Yeah. Well, and then you still have at the back end of the division, for guys we haven't named yet, O'Malley obviously fighting on. You still have Ricky Simone, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Jack Shore.
And they're working their way into the mix real soon.
You posted you reshared the Helwani clip. We've been saying it for literally a year, so welcome to the club, Ariel. You can join the Bantamweight Club. We'll allow it. We started it. We own it. We get to tell you that you can or cannot join.
It is.
But Bantamweight is better than lightweight. It's deeper. It's more talent-rich. How long have we been beating the drum too, man?
I'll take Welter. I'll take Welter. You got give me the yeah. At this point,
Over lightweight?
The lightweight fanboys are
Yeah.
still including the Tony Fergusons. They're still including the McGregors. They like to try to be cute and include Nate. Like they're including Poirier, which I guess he does have a fight booked at lightweight now. So I guess we can finally kind of come off our hot take. Poirier's a 70-pounder, but he kind of still is. He's kind of like Apollo Costa middleweight. You know what I'm saying? He's still a 70-pounder, and like a
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I'm gonna have lightweight all the way down at third, but we can get back to these bantamweights.
Yeah. So, I mean, a very impactful fight here as far as what it's going to mean. If Cruz wins, he's going to pretty much be sitting there waiting to get a title shot. Like, that's what that's going to be for him with his name value, all that good stuff. But then you look at it for Chito. Well, if Chito can pass this test, he essentially gets to maybe win one more fight and be the next guy up.
All this shakes out,
now,
right? Like, you get one of those bantamweight fights that either ends in a draw or an eye poke or something. You get another one that's snoozy. This could have been a number one contenders fight, just depending on how shit shakes out. You know what I mean? A champ gets hurt. And has to
and
an interim title. I mean, there's a lot of weird ways where it's not a clear cut number one contenders fight, but could be if shit goes south.
Well, he kind of has that ace in his bag of, I have a win over O'Malley, so even if O'Malley beats Peter Yan, like, he should have to fight me before he just gets to fight for a belt, which would make him the next guy up for the belt if he can beat O'Malley a second time, if that is to be the case. And obviously that's how the UFC wants this car to be driven, I think, right? Like, for those two guys to have met when they did, and for it to have happened how it did, and now for both of them to have put together winning streaks and reemerged in the division, I mean, that's
100%.
what's better for the UFC.
Round by round, man. Cruz come out. Well, it's hard to say Cruz came out looking great because he comes out and gets dropped like immediately.
He got dropped immediately, but then looked tremendous past that drop because Chito only landed 5 punches in the round.
Yeah,
and
man.
Cruz landed like 26.
So I gave round 1 to Cruz, even though he did get dropped. He also hurt Chito too. Like, it wasn't nearly as bad as Chito hurt him, but there were some good shots he landed, some damage he caused on Chito. And he got the takedown, had like quadruple the amount of significant strikes. I don't feel weird giving round 1 to Cruz at all. Like,
I don't either at all. All 3 judges did. I think it's easy. I think an easy 10-9 to Cruz was what that round has to be. If Chito can have more activity and more volume, sure. But I think he was trying to figure out Dom's movement because he does have that super weird style. It probably is hard to deal with him in the first round, maybe even the second round when you're still trying to figure out what the hell am I seeing. But then once you absolutely, but then once you have it figured out, you can kind of start to dial in on it and try to feint and get him draw out what you need to draw out of him. But in the second round,
I thought Cruz's best round of the fight.
Me too. I was going to say, as far as figuring it out, Chito still did not have it figured out by round 2. He was kind of getting pieced up in round 2, and Dominic Cruz's striking defense that round looked better than round 1 as well.
It looked pretty similar. Like, imagine if you removed that one shot from round 1, it kind of looks like round 2, right? So, I mean, he kept the offense while improving the defense, which is hard to do on the fly against a dangerous guy like Chito, and all the credit in the world to Cruz for being able to do it. I mean, I still say, though, that it would be few and far between, but, like, every time Chito would land, it, like, would not look good. Like, not in a Devin Clark way, but just in, like, this power is going to be a problem type of way.
Yeah, and I think Cruz's chin is done, man. I mean, we've seen it in other fights before with him where, like, when he gets cracked, like with the Casey Kenny fight, he got cracked once in that fight and damn near, I mean, a split decision win for him, but damn near lost the fight because his chin is just, it's not really what it used to be, man. And, I mean, in round 3, I thought that the tide started to turn for Chito, and he started to land the more impactful strikes. I felt like his volume really, really, really stepped up, and he was able to, like, match the volume with Cruz. And if you're matching the volume and you're hitting harder, you're probably winning. So I had round 3 to Chito.
Because he was starting to get better of Cruz on the feet, Cruz tried to shoot a takedown, and Chito was able to stop that, like, pretty easily. And so when you say tide turning, I mean in all regards in round 3. Like.
Now, granted, Cruz still looked good, and I thought for Cruz, in his mind, he has to think, he probably thinks, okay, maybe I lost that one. He just needs to win either round 4 or round 5, and he can win the whole fight by just winning one of the next 2.
Thinking it mentally. And Chito doesn't give a fuck who's winning what round. He's trying to put your lights out.
Exactly. And I think going to a decision and fighting for decisions like Cruz does so often can be to your detriment. Because, Chito's not finish hunting. He's just fighting and throwing with power because he's not afraid to essentially eat one to give one.
He does have just really good MMA striking, right? It's not...
Yeah. His kicks are beautiful.
Techniques, not a lot of jumping techniques, just really, really good, strong, and fast, fundamental MMA striking, right? And then...
Yeah. Dude, I was talking to Kenneth, just quick note, and, Chito Vera's pretty tatted up, and he has that scorpion tattoo on his head. I was talking to Kenneth, and I go, oh, yeah, he's a Scorpio. And Kenneth goes, how do you know? I go, why the fuck else do you have a scorpion tattooed on your cranium? He's not a Scorpio, by the way.
Off the tattoo artist's wall. I was like, that'll look fucking sick. So some it's like a tattoo,
it's exactly right.
A tattoo you put on your guy in a video game.
Now, as far as how round 4 goes, Cruz wasn't looking bad.
Yeah.
Chito Vera wasn't looking bad. And then at about the 2-minute mark, we start to see a change of fortunes, which is Chito's kind of starting to walk Cruz down. It's not so much the forward pressure from Cruz anymore. Chito feints the right. I mean, literally feints it to where his hand didn't even come out like a punch. He literally just feinted the arm and elbow out and then loaded for the left kick because he knew Cruz was going to try to dip the center line away from the right hand. And if you're dipping to your right, and you're dipping into a left high kick to your face, it'll just put your lights out. Dominic Cruz shatters his nose and was out cold in the canvas for maybe only a second and a half.
And then he stumbled when he tried to get back.
But it was over.
That was a bad look. Also, I thought it was super dope because it's usually when somebody lands a head kick, especially in the 4th round, it's because they've tried it throughout the fight and it's getting blocked, and then eventually one gets through. But am I wrong? I think that was the first time he threw that. He was 1 for 1, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember him throwing a lot of high kicks.
I think he threw one more.
A lot of high kicks,
but
it wasn't part of his
missed it.
Really, he just saw that and reacted.
No, and honestly, he started to read Dominick's reaction to his punch, his strikes, right? When he would throw those straights and those hooks. He was noticing Cruz was dipping very hard off the center line, and he was like, well, then I just have to feint him off the center line and catch him on the outside.
A lot of Chandler, which I know Chandler's was a front kick, but Chandler's Ferguson, just the way it hit him and the way they dropped veterans that we favorites. I mean, it was weirdly parallel to the Ferguson-Chandler head kick. It reminded me a lot of it. That's immediately what came to my brain.
Yeah, Cruz recovered faster, but probably didn't get kicked quite as hard in such an unsuspecting place. But, dude, that had to hurt so bad because his nose, had, a clean break across the center. It was so impacted
bad.
And shifted. It
was so bad.
It was tough. And for Cruz, I honestly was hoping he might retire after that fight. Because what's left for him, man?
He's kind of contradicted himself because he's said a million times that if he's not chasing a belt and he's not still a contender, then what's the point of doing it? And so you're 8 and you just lost. I'll say, it's not impossible. It's just highly unlikely.
Especially at his age, though.
And who's
and
he
fight
get
miles
matched up with at this point, right? Who's 11?
11's Ricky Simone.
That's a tough night out. But if he beats a Ricky Simone, he could probably get another fight with whoever's ranked 5 at that time, the loser of Aldo.
Why not a Legends fight though, like Cruz Edgar?
Yeah, well, I think you could see. I just don't think that gets him closer. You could argue it would. I really believe Cruz when he says that he's. Why else would he even taken this fight? Against Chito,
I mean, I could see him retiring if I'm just being straight honest. I don't see the logic in who else he can fight that's ranked ahead of him. He's not. He has to fight backwards now, and that's obviously
Yeah,
not
and then
chasing a
look who's
belt to fight
behind him. Was he
backwards.
gonna fight Umar or like one of these fucking savages? You know, or no?
Yeah, or like,
I'll be real.
and probably not O'Malley.
Beat Jack Shore, maybe could beat Jack Shore. Could Jack Shore could also spark his
I agree with that.
suspect chin. I mean,
and that's where the problem is.
like
Cruz's chin is so sus at this point.
Fucking Jupiter, right? I mean,
Yanez Cruz is fun, but once again, that's a fight that I don't think Cruz is willing to take.
I think he's gonna. I think much like the Casey Kenny fight, right? Like he had to take it in order to get the Munoz fight. Like I think he finds himself in that same spot if he is serious. Like if he really does have one more run in him, I think he's gonna have to take another Casey Kenny-esque type fight. Except for this batch of Casey Kenny's is way more scary.
Yeah, no joke, right? And these guys are almost more of a matchup nightmare for Dom Cruz too, with the way that most of these guys fight. Like Ricky Simone going to pure wrestling and having good power in his hands. That's a problem for.
And then all these other guys are
exactly. O'Malley's a nightmare. O'Malley's a nightmare for Cruz with that chin. Like O'Malley's gonna put him out.
Similar to O'Malley, long, similar matchup, and then. Yanez isn't necessarily like a physical matchup. It's just like a Yanez puts people the fuck out and Cruz gets put the fuck out. So like that's a rough matchup. Not size wise, not reach wise, but just what's likely to happen wise.
Styles wise. So I think we kind of know what's next for Cruz, right? He either has to bite the bullet and fight back or retire. What's next for Chito?
Yeah, this whole...
You just wait for this bantamweight rumble?
Like, for example, O'Malley, I think they pretty much already said if O'Malley beats Jan, he's not getting a title fight, or at least he's not guaranteed one. O'Malley's admitted that himself. So I'm saying I think if O'Malley beats Peter, maybe then you do the Chito rematch and a number one contenders fight. Also, we got to take...
That's what I think the UFC wants.
Too, that if TJ beats... If TJ beats Sterling,
Sterling, Aljamain,
then Aljamain's most likely going to get a rematch. Most likely, unless he's like hurt really bad or something.
That's a good point. I wonder about that. I also wonder what happens if Merab beats Aldo.
I know Aldo
Well, Aldo beats Merab. He fights probably the winner of Dillashaw Sterling because his name will jump him into it.
Beat Chito.
Well, they would love to have Dillashaw win this belt and Aldo win against Valashvili and have Aldo fight Dillashaw in an all-timer matchup of names.
Yeah, that would be cool. The thing is, and then what about? Do you think there's a scenario where Piotr? Because he already has 2 losses to Aljo, even if one is bullshit. What if Piotr wins, beats O'Malley, and then Piotr probably has to fight Chito or Merab or one of these guys?
See, I think Jan Merab because those two dudes have some like Russian bad blood. Obviously, Jan and Sterling don't like each other, and and Sterling and Merab are very good friends. Such good friends, they won't fight each other over the belt. They've already said. So I'm just like. The Jan story is great with everything he can do. Even Jan Dillashaw is a fucking sick.
Kind of similar guys, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah, very similar.
Man, you can't. I love Bantamweight. You kind of can't go wrong. Chito,
you can't go wrong here.
Fucking sick too, because
especially like O'Malley did get hit with the perennial nerve, and like if Chito doesn't land that, who knows what the hell happens.
Man, you can't go wrong. I don't know. I think the only matchup which we won't get is the one I don't want to see anyway. Would be a Merab versus Aljo, which is not going to happen. And
we can't get that.
So it's like, but
yeah, it's a terrible matchup.
Who are you picking in that? I want to say Merab is a slight favorite, or is Merab a dog?
Let's see.
Yeah,
So they fight next week, correct? Yes, they're the third fight. Well, probably second fight because we know Rockhold Costa they aren't making that weight. What's Costa weighing today? You think like 240?
232
Right
maybe,
now? We're a week out?
You know, that cut's going real well.
But Merab via Caesars is minus 115. Aldo's minus 105. So Merab is the favorite, but it's a pick 'em.
Dude. I may not
Almost made
that.
It harder.
Like, because there's not really value on either side. Like, by definition, you're getting like a negative return on either guy. Like, I don't know.
You know what's weird, man, is some fun fights in this next week's card, right? Like Amir Albazi and Francisco Figueiredo, but
especially
that's kind of where I'm at. Like I like Romanov type. If we're not talking about Romanov Tybura or
so does Vegas. Like that's not going to be a fun fight to watch. Romanov's going to get on top and beat the dog shit out of.
Romanov has they have Romanov minus 380, and like I kind of love that value as a parlay piece because I think he just beats the shit out of Tybura.
I've already been like the parlay's even going to be weak next week. I mean, what you do Usman and Romanov and like I don't even know what else. Like what I mean what?
Well, yeah, Miranda Maverick's a huge favorite where it's really not worth it. AJ Fletcher at minus 160 is interesting. Fights Angelusa.
I'm just not stoked for these fights. Like why is this a main card?
Well, Tyson Pedro, Harry Hunsucker, that's a shit
minus
fight.
600 or some shit. Like it's insane. Minus 800. Yeah, you
minus
can't put
800.
That in parlay. I mean, you can, but
pretty much to get parlay money here, you pretty much have to put Rockhold in it as the winner. Because he's plus 230.
I'm more likely to bet fucking Paolo. I think Paolo's going to win that. I think Paolo's going to win inside the distance. Maybe over-unders next week. Maybe.
Or like Arichi at minus 165 isn't terrible, but I think that fight might have gotten pulled.
I hate that bet either.
But beyond that, man, I mean, you could take Leon Edwards maybe. I mean, a lot of these are better straights than they are parlays because the favorites are too heavy to really make it worth your while. And the dogs are fat enough and don't have a good enough shot where like they'll bust a good parlay with the other favorites. So you're hunting value, right? But at the same time, it's like so hard to find the value in these fights.
With like minus 800s, just
essentially, yeah. Like Sean Woodson minus 3. You know what? You could do like a Sean Woodson, Miranda Maverick, fucking Usman. Romanov. And then Usman, and like that is 4 legs right there. And maybe throw Amir Albazi on there. And those are all minus like 300 or more, but at that many. But it's hard to say that many majority money lines would be correct, but it's hard to say that many minus 300 people wouldn't just win.
But I know.
That's what I mean. It's crazy.
Am I going to be forced to just make a pick in Merab versus Aldo and just sweat it out? That's the only.
That's essentially what this comes down to is can you call the pick'em that'll elevate your odds so high?
Straight bet that, or just parlay it with Usman or something like.
Or Wu Yanan is plus 115 against Lucy Pudilova, and like. I kind of like Wu Yanan there.
But still, you see these fights you're telling me right now that we're paying $75 for.
Hey, I know,
bro.
278's meant to steal your money because 279 and 280 and 281 are all so damn good.
Silva and like fucking Angela Hill. Like I would have rather watched. Like what? Why did they put them on the?
Yeah. Like Tyson Pedro and Harry Hunsucker should have been on this card.
I mean, hell,
for sure.
Like, yeah, bro, that card is wild. Like, I am not stoked. Like, I'm really not, like, really even looking forward to it. And I'll be real, like, I'm not really looking forward to Costa Rockhold because I don't think the fight takes place. If it does take place, it's going to be at a catch weight. And if it does take place at a catch weight, I think Paulo Costa wins by knockout. And then, I mean, hey, whatever. I'm riding Usman till the wheels fall off. Like, I'm not buying people, like all the little hype pieces and shit are trying to convince me this is going to be a competitive fight. I don't see it. I'm not buying it.
You know, man, I'm starting to talk myself into the value on AJ Fletcher here. He has the unanimous decision loss to Simmelsberger, but that's his UFC debut. And other than that, he's undefeated. Yeah, tough debut, and he's fighting, like I said, Angelusa, who is
fucking honest.
He has the loss to Munir Lazez, but we know what we think of Lazez. Lazez is a beast. He also has a loss to Jack Della Maddalena. And then no one in the UFC.
Pound it. What pounds of Fletcher? Good find.
Yeah. So minus 160, that might be a great guy to throw into the parlays.
Fucking call, man, because those parlays we're gonna have like 3-1 on like a 6-legger. But
you get plus 300 even with your multiplier.
A couple of those, it's not a lot of fun. But hey, man, fun
They're
episode.
Tough.
Episode 100, bro. I'm fucking proud of us. 100 deep. Reward us with a subscription. Reward us with some likes. Like 100 weeks in a row is not easy, and just support the boys so we can have 100 more. Man, looking forward to next week's breakdown. Honestly, more so than next week's card. Like being completely honest, and hopefully we can just watch some chalk parlays and get out of there with our heads held high. Because I mean, I sure
hope so.
Hey man.
I like the card a lot more if the parlay is it.
That's the card saver right there. But hey, man, appreciate your time. Appreciate everybody that watched. So check us out on YouTube, Beefy Boys Breakdown, episode 100. Let's go.